Hi everybody, it's Maureen of Maureen 97 Designs, and today I'm finally coming at you with my Olo alcohol marker coloring video like I promised a really long time ago. Sorry it's taken so long, but I was actually filming part of it, and I was coloring an image, this one to be specific. Not this actual one, but this image, this Boba Anya image. And I was really zoomed in because I wanted you to see like the blending and action and everything. And I am really rusty at camera work, so I kept going out of frame. And seriously, it happened so much that I thought there's no way anybody's going to want to watch that video. So I scrapped it, and I was kind of discouraged, so I didn't make another one. But I do have the colored sample that I made during that disastrous filming, and then I'm going to color it again because what I'm also doing is comparing cardstocks for you. So I was using this Hammermill. This is the, I believe it's the 80 or 100 pound cover stock. And this is how she turned out. The main thing that I'm interested in is the face, pretty much, because the other details are not so much blending. I mean, like the hair is not so much blending, and the other details there's not very much. But to me, the face is really important for a character. So I think this one with the Hammermill came out really great. I really like how it turned out. So then I found an old stash of Xpress It, which I actually bought from my Copics, and which I actually didn't like with my Copics because I didn't think that it blended very nicely. So I have a whole bunch of Xpress It cardstock, and I found it, and that was the one I was coloring, and I was trying to make the video, and it just kept going out of frame. So I tried to color them the same. Here you can see them side by side. This is the Hammermill on the right, and this is the Xpress It on the left. I tried my hardest to color them exactly the same, but I might have done slightly different technique because I didn't do it on the same day. I did this one first, and then I didn't do this second one until maybe a week later. So I couldn't exactly remember how I did the face, and I haven't been coloring with Copics for a really long time, or coloring with alcohol markers for a really long time, so I'm kind of out of practice. So anyway, the first thing that I did notice when I got out the Xpress It, though, I'm not sure if you can tell, the Hammermill looks a lot whiter next to the Xpress It, which to me looks kind of gray. And I thought that was really interesting that it looks gray. I'm not sure if that does anything to affect the final product, but I like the white of the Hammermill better. And then I was able to get my hand on some Neenah Solar White. This is the 80 pound smooth cardstock. It's not the super smooth, which I've heard is better for alcohol marker coloring. But the super smooth wasn't available to ship to me in Hawaii, so I got the next best thing, which is just the regular smooth. And again, with the Neenah versus the Hammermill, I think the Hammermill is a little bit more white. So, but you can kind of see if you look at it. This is the Hammermill on the bottom, and then the Xpress It is pretty gray, and then the Neenah on the top is whiter than the Xpress It, but not quite as white as the Hammermill. I actually just ordered a pack of Accent cardstock, super smooth, 80 pound, which I'm hoping the super smooth will help with the coloring, because I know a lot of people like the Accent cardstock. I have it in the 100 pound and in the 120 pound, and it's great for card bases, and I do the layering with the 100-pound, and I tried doing some coloring, alcohol marker coloring, with my Olos on the accent 100-pound, because I don't have the 80 right now, and it just sucked up the ink, and it did not blend well at all. Sorry I don't have that sample to show you. I actually colored a different image, but yeah, it just sucked up that ink so hard that I thought, you know, this is gonna bleed my markers dry. So I gave up on the thought of coloring on accent. But then I saw this super smooth version of accent, so I ordered a ream of that, and I will be testing it out when it comes, and I will compare it to all my previously colored ones. But for now, I'm just going to do some coloring on the Neenah sample, because when I searched for best alcohol marker paper, I believe the Xpress It came up first and the Neenah came up second, but I'm not sure if it was the Neenah regular smooth or the super smooth. But anyway, I'm going to try doing another coloring, and hopefully I'll stay in frame. I'm a little bit more zoomed out this time, so hopefully that will help. So the color combination that I've been using is the OR 2.0. Let me get that. For the lightest color, and I'm just going to go over her entire face with that, and I'm not worried about streaking or anything like that. I'm just trying to put down a base layer of this, and I'm not going to go over it a lot. I'm just going to go a nice thin coat, and that's going to be my base color. And then I'm going to come in with my OR 1.1. And by the way, I think I said so in my intro, but I really love how you can put two different colors on one marker. So I actually have the 2.0 and the 1.1 on one marker, and I can just flip them around. So I really like that. So now I'm going to come in. This is my second darkest color, or second lightest color, I should say. And I'm going to do a little bit of flicking just so I don't get a hard edge. I'm going to go all the way around her face, and I'm going to come in a little bit, but I'm going to stay away from that center for now. And then I'm actually going to come in with my darkest color, which is the OR 7.2, and this one I'm gonna stay more in the shadowed areas, which would be under the hairline, kind of under here, that's her hair, and on the sides of her face, because the sides of her face would be curving back because she has a round face. So I'm just going to put that in there. Actually, I think I'm going to come back with my 1.1 again, and I'm going to feather out that 7.2, blend out the 7.2 into the 1.1 area, and I'm going to bring the 1.1 area in just a little bit past her eyes, and kind of closing in that area. And then I'm going to come back in with the 2.0 and feather that in and kind of blend it all the way in, because now is when I want it to actually blend. So there we go. And if I wanted to make her the shadows on her even darker, I can come in with another color and actually darken that up, which I'm not going to do right now. I'm going to do her cheeks, and what I ended up using for her cheeks was this R5.5, just a little bit. It's really dark, but it's not bright, which is what I wanted to stay away from. And then this is the 5.3, and I'm going to kind of blend that out a little bit. And then I'm coming in with the 5.1, which is on the other side of my marker, so handy. And blend out those edges. And there you can see that is pretty much the finished face, although I can make, like I said, I can make her shadows darker, because that, I think that would look good. So let me just see. I was using the 7.2, let me see, OR 7.2. So here's the color chart. That's the OR 7.2 that I use for the darkest. There's a 7.4 and a 7.6, and I think the 6 might be a little too dark. So let me go in with the OR 7.4. Let me see if I can find it in here. Oh, here it is. OR 7.4. Okay. So for this, I'm going to try and keep, sorry if my hand's in the way, but I'm going to try and keep the line of this really thin because I don't want it going all over. I just want a little bit in the shadows. So I'm going to try and just use the tip of my marker for that. Actually, that's not as dark as I thought, so we're good. And then back to the 7.2, I'm going to do a little bit of blending out of that line. Not too far. And then I'm going to come back in with my OR 1.1 and bring out those edges. And then lastly, I have my OR 2.0, which I'll bring back into the center. And if you want a super light, like a really white highlight in the center, then when you're doing your very first layer, don't go all the way into that center area if you want to keep it white. I wouldn't leave it white, like stark white, but don't go over it too many times. Even with this 2.0, it gets to this color, so if you want it lighter than this, I would just go maybe one coat with the 2.0 when you're doing your final blending. I wouldn't keep going over it. But to me, I like that. I like how that looks. That's bright enough in the middle for me, and she's got nice shadows, and I really like how her cheeks came out. So anyway, let me compare, because like I said, the thing I'm most worried about is how her face blends. So let me put them all three for you to see. So there's the Hammermill on the far right, and then the middle is the Xpress It, and then this one on the left is the Neenah. And I gotta say, I do like how the Neenah looks as well. I'm still just not a fan of the Xpress It. I just think, to me, the lines are a little bit harsher. It doesn't blend as well for me. And you know, I'm not like a super great alcohol marker colorist, but for what I do, in my opinion, I just do not prefer the Xpress It cardstock. Or it's kind of like a thick paper actually, whereas these two are actually cardstock. And if you want to see how the backs look, this is the Hammermill. This is the Xpress It. The Xpress It is a lot thinner, so I think it bleeds to the back more than the others, the cardstocks, but actually the Neenah looks like it bled kind of plenty, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just some people are interested in that. I guess what matters, why it matters, is that it's the amount of ink that you're using. Whereas with the Xpress It, it looks like the ink is not really bleeding through that much. So the ink is kind of tending to stay on the surface of the paper, and you're not using as much ink as like the Neenah. And the Hammermill is not too bad either. But definitely the Xpress It has the least bleed through. Okay, so I'm not going to color the rest of her because, like I said, I'm really just concerned with how the face blends and not so much with the other parts of her. But I will be back hopefully soon. As soon as I get that accent super smooth 80-pound cardstock in the mail, I will stamp her out again and color her face. And I'm going to keep my markers out so I use exactly the same markers. And I'm going to try and make sure I'm using the same blending techniques. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.